It was another ordinary day in the life of Jesus. Standing by the Sea of Galilee, people listened to his every word. The Sea of Galilee is one of the jewels of the nation of Israel. It's a beautiful lake, approximately 53 kilometers in circumference, about 21 kilometers long, and about 13 kilometers wide. Even to this day, 2,000 years after Jesus stood beside the lake, it's still known as a tourist attraction and a lake for commercial fishing. Without a doubt, it's my favorite place in Israel. The crowd was large, so Jesus climbed into a boat left by fishermen washing their nets after a long night of fishing. The boat Jesus stepped into was owned by one of the men who had been listening intently to Jesus' teaching, a man named Simon Peter. At Jesus' request, Simon Peter pushed a short distance from the shore so Jesus would have room to speak to all the people crowding up to the shoreline. We don't know exactly how long he spoke, but when he had finished speaking, he said to Simon Peter, the man who owned the boat, "Put out into deep water and let down the nets for a catch." This must have been a surprise to Simon Peter, for he knew Jesus was a carpenter, not a fisherman. Simon replied to Jesus, "Master, we worked hard all night and haven't caught anything, but because you say so, I will let down the nets." This experienced fisherman was willing to humor his new friend just for a few minutes. But as it turned out, Simon was in for a surprise. The Bible says, when they had done so, they caught such a large number of fish that their nets began to break. So they signaled their partners in the other boat to come and help them. Between the two of them, they filled the boat so full that they began to sink. Now, if you were Simon Peter or any of the other fishermen, what would you think? Words like surprise or stunned or amazed just would not be sufficient. After all, these were experienced fishermen, and after they had fished all night, they had come up with nothing. No, there was something else going on here. They had been following Jesus around, and they had seen that he was no ordinary man. They had watched as he healed people with various kinds of sickness, not just a few, but the Bible says he healed many people. Furthermore, they had been listening to him speak and preach, and they had heard things that they had never heard anybody say before. This man was absolutely remarkable. So now, when Jesus entered their world, when he stepped into their boat and had performed this incredible miracle of 2 boatloads of fish, they knew it wasn't enough just to say, "Thanks, man, we appreciate it." No, much more than that was called for. The Bible says, when Simon Peter saw this, he fell at Jesus' knees and said, "Go away from me, Lord, I am a sinful man." That's the most appropriate thing he could have said, don't you think? But Jesus, being Jesus, answered in a way that Simon Peter could never have expected. "Don't be afraid," Jesus said. "From now on, you will catch men." I'm not sure Simon Peter really understood all the implications of what that meant. But what we do know was that the Bible says, so they pulled their boats up on shore, left everything, and followed him. Simon Peter never forgot that night. Until the day he died, he remembered 2 things. First, how sinful and unworthy he felt in the presence of this holy, wise, righteous man. Never had he ever been in the presence of a man like Jesus. Second, he sensed that if he stayed with this man, his life would be forever changed. Those 2 realities, the exalted goodness of this incredible man Jesus on the one hand, and the crushing disappointment he could see in his own life on the other hand, let him know that never again could he ever leave this man's side. As we look back on the life and ministry of Jesus, we can see that Jesus knew he needed helpers. Simon Peter was the first one of these helpers Jesus appointed. Eventually, he would have 12. They would be called disciples or his apostles. The word disciple means learner or follower, and the word apostle means, in English, one who is sent. Peter was all of those. He was a learner, he was a follower, and for the rest of his life he would be sent throughout the world carrying the news about Jesus. What an amazing story of this encounter Simon Peter had with the holy and righteous Jesus. And this is just the beginning. Mark down this day and time and tune into this station a week from today to hear of more encounters between Jesus and the people whose lives were forever changed by him.